You know what? Take it from somebody who's been watching YouTube ever since he was 9. Under 16 should not be engaging in social media, let alone shit like YouTube. Okay, let me give you a few reasons why. First of all, you got the brain rot generation. Oh, you thought violent video games or violent movies were bad? That's art or inter-art for short. This, I don't know what tongue shahor or Carlo Capitrina Talia. What even the fuck is that? Skibbity toilet? 6'7"? More like throw the 6'7" in the toilet. You know what? No. No, and no. I don't think kids should be being on social media under 16. I'll give you a few reasons why. On top of that, you also got the fact that they could be exposed to very edgy content and doom scrolling. Yeah, that's a real thing, doom scrolling, and it is not meant for kids. And I don't think I'm gonna let my kids watch it. I don't think social media is appropriate for kids. I'd rather have your kids play a video game, or let alone a fucking Disney NCU game, before they even touch a social media platform. If you think a 2-year-old can do a social media, you're fucking wrong. Have you ever seen Ryan's World? Yeah, he's growing too old and he's being trapped by Ryan's World. He needs escape and he needs help because his parents are trying to make him do it for the rest of his life. I think you need to be an adult before you can become a social media celebrity. Not a fucking 2-year-old. And 2018, you're saying 2018 it will happen for me. Not 2018, 2028. They're saying 2028 will happen for me. 2028, huh? Not 2026. 2028. Not it'll start 2026. It's sad, but social media will happen 2028. If it extends next lifetime, I don't want a 2-year-old version of me becoming a celebrity on a YouTube or on a social media platform. So, because they won't be mentally ready or have their brain developed enough to know what is right and wrong. And I'm like, are you kidding me with this? I'll tell you, kids should not be watching. No, if you're gonna do that, do yourself a favor and let me do it in the same lifetime, because we don't want another Ryan's World situation where they're stuck doing like YouTube for years and reviewing kids stuff for years. I mean, come on, he's got to grow up eventually. It was fun while it lasted, okay? But here's the thing, right? I'm going to say, can I tell you something? I don't think little kids should be on social media. And I heard you know why I'm mentioning this? Because the UK is about to ban social media for anyone under the age of 16. I agree with that because I think the United Kingdom is in the right to do so. It's within their full right, and they know that these doom scrolling, I mean, it's not like Club Penguin they're not even doing Club Penguin. They're not even doing it. And let me get this straight. Every good thing Steve Jobs did. I think thanks to iPad kids, that one was the mistake thing. I'd even go so far as to say I'd rather have the Apple Watch be invented by Steve Jobs, not the iPad, because the iPad, my problem with it is, in fact, you know what? No, scratch that. The iPad existing is what's giving kids the ability to get brain rotted. You want to see? I'd rather have your kids play. I'd rather have your kids play on a Steam Deck PS6 Go, if it does end up being called that, or the Nintendo Switch 2, whatever, take your pick for them. A PlayStation, I heard there's a portable PS6 coming out, so get that, or Switch 2, or Steam Deck for them. One of those three. Okay? Wait until they're older to do something like the Xbox ROG Ally or gaming PC dedicated handhelds that aren't like Steam Deck, PSP3, or PlayStation 6 Go, or which is what I think is going to be called, or PS6 Portable, whatever it ends up being called, or Switch 2, because that would be way better for your kids than exposing them to brain rot and doom scrolling. And I'm like, don't give your kids social media. I swear. If you don't think that there's going to be like, if Nintendo, let's just say, hypothetically, well, Smash Bros. Gets expelled from Nintendo and Disney buys it. Well, at least the Disney NCU audience will have their own games that are family friendly for that audience, and Smash Bros. Will be on PlayStation. Even without that, you still have Minecraft, Astrobot. You got Jack and Daxter trilogy for your kids to go back on. You actually got like family friendly PlayStation games on there, and you got indie games. Not bad games, and I didn't even go so far as to say, like, I'll let your kid play Mouse PI for hire at this point because it's T-rated. Though there is blood, it's not M-rated. It's very careful in how it handles the blood and stuff. Okay? But ultimately, my recommendation, get your kid a PSP, PlayStation 6 Portable, or Go, whatever it's called, or Steam Deck, or or both, or a Switch 2 and a Steam Deck, or both, or all three. I don't care. Any of them would be great for them over doom scrolling and iPad kid shenanigans. Do not let your kid be brain rotted. I'm dead ass serious. I wouldn't even let myself be brain rotted. Okay? And you might be like, but Caleb, the Wii U 2. Oh, you want me to prove to you I have a Switch 2? Okay, here we go. You ever give them a Steam Deck? Which is, I'm only going by what's out currently. I don't think the PS6 Portable's out yet. And the PS Portal is just a streaming device I'm waiting for and it looks really nice. Makes me want a PSP 3 or PS6 Portable or Go, whatever. Or this. I'd rather have your kids be exposed to that also. Just whatever is allowed and approved for them. If it's approved, if Steam and PlayStation's approved, give them that. If Nintendo and Steam is approved for that, give them that. If Sony, Nintendo, and Steam is approved, give them that as well. I repeat, do not get your kid become an iPad kid. That is a terrible idea. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. Out of all the things that Pixar and Disney and Pixar did wrong, I'll say they did one thing right for recently. Toy Story 5. They had an iPad called Lilypad as a villain, and the iPad feeling bad for the toys made kids no longer want to be on their iPads and play with toys and read books instead. And not, I swear, if I could go back in time, I'd go back in time and tell Steve Jobs, do not invent the iPad. Make it a gaming device instead. Copy the Switch from the future. And don't call it the iPad. Call it the iSystem. And literally just make a version of the Switch back in the day. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I don't think Nintendo should have made the Switch, actually. In fact, if anything, Nintendo's doing more Apple-y stuff than ever. Without this right here, should have been made by Steve Jobs. Not to mention, if he was in charge, the magnetic Joy-Cons would have been there day one, not the sequel. This would have been there day one. The, like, magnetic Joy-Cons, like, just snaps on and then doesn't fall because they're so strong. Because that's what the type of guy Steve Jobs was. He should have invented this, put buttons on there that you can attach on it. If I could go back in time and get Steve Jobs to make this instead of the iPad, I would. Because the iPad, I'm starting to think that that the invention of that was a very big mistake. And it is very much getting the kids brain rot and a lot of, like, so much brain rot. Guys, it's a problem. I mean, you have peak kids in class. Schools that have to become brain rot data farms because of it. And teachers are quitting because of this brain rot generation of Gen Alpha and Gen Beta. Kids' first words are becoming iPad. I was thinking, iPad is their first. I'm gonna have to get rid of this eventually. But iPad is their first word. No, I'm gonna say stop to that. If your kid can't get a Switch 2, they have to wait for the PSP Go or the PSP Portable. I have Mario Kart World and Smash Bros. Games on there, so I should be fine. I'm gonna get even more. I'm gonna 4 for my birthday, as well as Sonic Race Crossroads and Obertals around that same month. Hyrule Warriors of Prism in August. Splatoon Raiders this month. Get them this. Okay, get them this while they wait for the PSP Go. Hold on, let me order the PlayStation Portable 6 Portable. Steam Deck. Yeah. And if the PS6 Portable's out, get them that. I am not going to say this again. I'd rather have your kids play games on a gaming handheld. Like the Switch 2 or the Steam Deck or the upcoming PSP 6 over having them be brain rotted and literally lose their minds thinking Skibbity Toilet is the great and 6-7 is the greatest thing of all time. Trust me. If you raise your kids off of the internet and off of YouTube, they will become a demon child. I'm sorry, no. I will not approve of children playing brain rot games. And no, and not only that, but even then, if you get one of those, you have to be careful about what they buy. Buy them indie game, real games. Don't buy them the $1 6-7 tongue short shit. Buy them stuff like Mina the Howler or Shovel Knight or Cyberstyle from Yacht Club Games. Buy them Undertale. Buy them Deltarune. Buy them FNAF. Buy them like Minecraft. Buy them like really good games for them. And eventually, when the Super Smash Bros. Properties to PlayStation, Xbox, PC, once Disney buys Nintendo, it screws it all up. Yeah. That's when we're going to have to. That's when I'm going to give the go ahead for it all. But yeah, I'll tell you this much. I do not think kids should be exposed to brain rot content. The fact that children are being exposed to brain rot, oh my gosh, dude. Okay. Anyway, but what about Kingdom Hearts? No, that's the only one I'd say no to, because it takes 300 plus to 500 plus hours to finish that 100% it. I'd say 100 to 500 hours depending on your kid's skill level for the whole franchise. And I don't think that might be too much of a time sink for them, but unless if that's the only game you're getting them, which in that case, fine. But if you want them to focus on school alongside playing video game, you need to get them stuff that will build their social skills, like Minecraft or Fortnite OG. I'd say modern Fortnite's getting a little too violent, I'm not gonna lie. Yes, the teeth, I wish they were jaws because I wish they were fangs. That's how much they're, but yeah. Other than that, I'd say stuff like Yacht Club games, or Undertale, or such Toby Fox, or stuff like any indie game would be fine for them. I'd say if you're gonna let them play an Emre game, my recommendation, if you're gonna have them play Call of Duty, let them play it for the campaign. Do not let them play the multiplayer, because that has become an insane fest of like themed skins based off Ninja Turtles and Terminator and clown suit Seth Rogen and Squid Game character that make no sense to be in a Call of Duty game. I'd say skip Black Ops 7 because that had some scenes that were just way too unrealistic for COD. But every other Call of Duty game, I'd say go ahead. As long as your kid is mature enough to handle it. If they're not, let's have them play Minecraft. Okay? But if they are, but other than that, if you want to get franchise, I do heavily recommend, if they're mature enough, other than Wolfenstein, it'd be the Doom games. Doom, when they re-release Doom the Dark Ages and Doom the Dark Ages Revelations, Doom 2016, and Doom Eternal and Doom Eternal The Ancient Gods Part 1 and 2, when the remasters re-release, give your kids that game if they're mature enough. Trust me, they'll thank you later, because those games, they were awesome. Not only that, but I played Wolfenstein. If your kid, I'd say Wolfenstein's a little harder to handle than Doom, because there's a few scenes in the Wolfenstein games, like for instance, there's a scene where let's just say in the Old Blood where there's Nazi virus zombies and Lovecraft monsters. So I love that scene. That was amazing. But in the first one, the New Order, it's revealed that this is in a timeline where the Nazis won World War II. And the whole game of Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus is very insane. I mean, you got a trial where the Nazis are deeming BG Blausiefix guilty for being a truly evil man for trying to fight the Nazi regime, and they cut his head off. Discovery was a Jew and all that, and spread more fear. You got KKK in the streets. You got Nazi-occupied America. Racism at large. I mean, that is insane, but if your kids is mature enough to handle those three games, and the upcoming Wolfenstein 3, Old Blood's a prequel. Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, called Wolfenstein 2 for a reason. Then go ahead. But if it's, I think at that point they could watch Sausage Party. But if your kid's not mature enough to handle that, then, but it is for Doom, I'd say let them play the Doom games, but not the Wolfenstein games. But because I do think, as far as what I'm concerned, what I've seen, the Doom games are not as offensive as the Wolfenstein game. They're just really cool shooters with intense levels of blood and gore. But granted, Wolfenstein's meant to be played by a more older audience. Doom is not. Outside of the Dark Ages, outside of the first one, Doom 2016, Hugo Martin actually envisioned Doom Eternal to be played by 8-year-olds, even though the game was rated M. I didn't understand at the time why he would do that, even though I thought the game was awesome, but now I do. And then Dark Ages, he said it was supposed to grow with that audience being a more grittier version of that, which is a prequel to 2016 Eternal. It takes place after Doom 1, 2, and 64. And yes, it is the Doom Marine who's doing all this shit. It's his new name's the Doom Slayer. That's the whole channel name of my channel. You want to see a picture of the Dark Ages Slayer? There's the Dark Ages Doom Marine. Right there. He is so sick. My favorite statue I've ever had. Yeah. Other than that, I'd say Sonic the Hedgehog is okay for them. Certain Sonic games probably more better for them than others. So I'd say, I don't know. I'd say if your kids can't handle the Disney Sonics movies, let them watch the Paramount Sonic movies under Sony, aka Sonic the Hedgehog 2020, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 2022, where Tails and Knuckles is introduced, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, where Shadow is introduced. The live action ones, that one might actually be better for them. If the inverse is true, let them watch the Disney ones. But at the same time, I'd rather your kids watch I'd say for me, the only thing that's a problem until Cars 4 comes out is Disney. That's because they've been feeding me the wrong versions of their movies. And they already know it, and they're irritated by it, but on top of that, I'd rather have your kids. But if it's like a Japanese game that isn't like Xenoblade or whatever, if it's like Final Fantasy, it really depends on the kid. But even then, I'd rather have your kid play Minecraft or Fortnite. On Fortnite on Switch 2, Minecraft on a PlayStation. Steam, whatever game that's not available on those two platforms. Like Bunderkin, over whatever the hell brain rot and doom scrolling is. Trust me, your kids do not know what you're putting them in front of, and trust me, I would rather your kids. If you want proof that Sony's making a PSP3, they patented it back in 2020. PSP3 patent. And yeah, they're doing this, and they're going full digital because of it, but yeah. Apparently, you ready for this? So there's a patent for a PlayStation. Let's just say it's called the PlayStation Switch patent. The one with detachable controllers. They wanted to do this on the 5, but they couldn't. Not kidding, but this is what they patented back in the day. And they have plans to do this next gen. Trust me. They actually do. So this is the patent. This is the patent right here. This is what you're getting your kids if they can't do a Switch 2 or a Steam Deck. If they could do one Steam Deck and this, that'd be great. If they could do Switch 2 and Steam Deck, that'd be great. All 3 would be amazing, but yeah. I'm just going to say this. And I'm just going to say this, though. I will warn you. And if you're like me, where you could do it, but under the Smash Bros. Properties like Mario Kart World, I'm just going to say this. You're in a very rare boat. Yep, you're in a very rare boat. Yeah, I'd rather have your kids play Minecraft. I'd rather have your kids play, like, something more healthy for them. Like one of those 3 systems over brain rotting them with doom scrolling. And that's the reason why I think social media ought to be banned for 16 under. I'm shocked that they approved of it for me. But if they're going to do if they're saying start a YouTube account 2028 and 2026 it starts, I'd say that'd be better because let's face it, I'd rather do that as an adult in 2028 than be brain rot as a kid. Although if you did that as a 2-year-old 2028, that would be a nightmare come true. Because who knows what kind of brain rot that 2-year-old's gonna version of my next life self would say. I'm not kidding. I mean, violent video games, violent anime, and violent movies may have been one thing, but those are just art, and art's subjective, and yes, there was moral panics, but they were unjustified. Granted, they did, because of the moral panics, they all realize, yes, we do need to rate these things off of an age or maturity basis. But unlike those that can be properly rated, stuff like brain rot, I would never, under any I ban it for under. I ban social media under 16-year-olds because doom scrolling and brain rot. I'm sorry. You cannot give your kids social media at this point because of what they've done to, like, what kids are ruining it, and adults are suffering through brain rot content too. And I'm just like, there's no sites like Club Penguin anymore, Neopets. You don't have a Neopets, you don't have a Club Penguin. Without Neopets or Club Penguin, your kid's just gonna be left doom scrolling, saying words like, you gotta be an alpha, bro. And being Sigma Riz, Sigma Riz, Sigma Riz. Or like shit like what? 6'7", or Ohio. Like what? I'm not kidding. I have proof that happened in my timeline. Brain rot took over. Okay? I mean, sure, Gen Z had its own brain rot, but at least there was meaning to it. Like, we had, like, Lego pretty violent brick arm Lego, war sets we made and did motion capture of on YouTube. Not only that, we also had, like, some pretty edgy memes, like TV Filthy Frank and YouTube Poops. Even then, they're making fun of stuff, and they're not really being nonsensical. This is nonsensical right here, and because of this, I'm just saying, I don't think I would want my kid to watch this. Okay, look, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, yes, still need to fix the software on my computer. It's gonna happen one of these days, but regardless of when it happens, I'm just gonna warn you, I am not a huge fan of what they did. I mean, I'm gonna be brutally and bluntly honest with you. I don't think they should be approving of YouTube for like a 0-year-old. And I think Toy Story 5 had a point. That's the one Disney film they made. Disney Pixar. It was Pixar that did it. But they actually had a point about something and a good moral. That kids are growing up too fast because of tech and devices and being given brain rot and stuff. If you've seen the Bonnie version of Toy Story 5, you'll know that Lily Pad was a pretty bad influence on the Bonnie. And I'll tell you something about this Lily Pad. She was not the greatest, so there you go. Maybe, well, why did you show video game? It's not the video game systems like Switch, Steam Deck, or PlayStation Portable 3 I have a problem with. Those might be healthier. It's stuff like, iPads. And you know what an iPad is, right? I think the iPad was a huge mistake. If I could go back in time and get Steve Jobs to invent an Apple Switch before Nintendo does, to prevent the iPad epidemic, I would. I 100% would. So that way Nintendo can make their version of it instead of the Wii U. But nope. I don't think they're going to let that happen. And I think this is why I think the PS Portable 3 is going to be a better idea. Most of the next generation of gamers won't be banned from Sony. They'll be banned from, well, Nintendo without the Super Smash Bros. Property. With Super Smash Bros. Properties, they'll be like with new property. And the Super Smash Bros. Properties will go to Smash PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Trust me, I know what's going to happen. Disney, I am on your back, and I know full well I got the Switch 2 with the Smash Bros. Properties, knowing full well I'm going to expose what you did. Okay? I'm collecting a lot of things as evidence, maybe watching some of it for fun, playing some of it for fun, but that's what I've been doing over the past few years to warn people. And yes, I'm just going to tell you straight up. Disney has gone insane over the past few years. Okay? This is why I think, yeah, at this point, and the gamers who are going to be banned from Sony, not Nintendo, they're probably from another universe. Otherwise, they wouldn't be called they wouldn't be able to be part of the next generation gamers. They'd be supposed to a horror version. They probably come from the universe with the Super Switch came out instead. But yeah, I'm just saying, Wii U 2, they'd be banned, and 2, they'd be banned. But if you're part of the Sony group, you're gonna be able to grow up a lot faster and probably be allowed to play it with they're probably gonna be like me. If you're part of the Switch 2 era timeline, and you're gonna be allowed on Sony, and you have Sony in all caps, so appearing on your own feed, have free movies. Probably gonna be like me, and it's gonna be awkward, I know. And then if you was the Wii U 2, you would not be banned. If you were on the Wii U 2 timeline and you still had to wait until he comes for you to play video games again. And maybe, I don't know yet, the Disney, apparently if you did the, maybe you wouldn't be banned from if you were on the Super Switch timeline. Maybe you would, I don't know, I just don't know the details about that one yet. And yeah, I'd wait for Sony to reintroduce you to gaming. But yeah, that's my timetables here, and I'll tell you this much. I have to tell you something. This wouldn't have been happening for me if it weren't for Wilfred Mullis being my dang alternate universe self. My name is Caleb James Smith, and I got a real... Look, when my timeline started merged, when I got archived, someone else really bad took my place who was a rapist, murderer. He stole, but he never learned his lesson. He never tried learning his lesson. He literally did awful shit and blew up cities and stuff and wanted to assist Nibiru and shit. His name was Wilfred Mullis. And I wish I could kick him in the ass. Granted, and it's a lot like Taco, where two tacos in BFDI and II, where the II taco, Wilfred Mullis, sounds pretty messed up for real, and the BFDI taco literally sounds like she only did all that stuff because of a misunderstanding and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm just gonna be honest here. I don't like Wilfred being my alternate. Okay, he was a pretty bad alternate. But yeah, I mean, if I couldn't handle the end of Evangelion, what do you think he, as the green one, will be able to have to do? He'll be green in his next life. Mocked because of it. If I couldn't handle the end of Evangelion, the one where everyone dies and becomes LCD, the only survivor is Shinji, with the server being choked by Shinji. Yes, that is a real ending. Imagine what Wilfred Mullis would do if he saw that version of the ending. And that's the version I saw when in the 90s in my past life. That's the version I swear I would never show anyone. I only describe it. If I showed images, it would be the ward of the ending. I'm starting to realize, digging into that on the internet, it actually is worse then Monsters U and The Last Jedi combined. At least with the Monsters U, they're gonna make a director's cut one day that fixes that plot hole and adds back the rivalry scene where they were teasing us as a fourth grade instead of making an unnecessary Monsters Elementary film to explain that. That'd be a horrible idea. We don't need to go backwards with the franchise. We need to go forwards. We need Monsters Inc. 2 and 3 ASAP. And they're saying they're making 3 but not 2 already. I thought they were stupid. I thought I was stupid. But whatever. What I'm saying here is, if you think he's gonna not be able to handle, and if you think he's gonna like struggle to handle, like he's literally gonna need to see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish as his very first film to teach him a moral lesson. You know, the one where death straight up, not metaphorically, not rhetorically, poetically, theoretically, another fancy way of saying it, he's death straight up, the werewolf in the Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Chases Puss down when he tries to on his 9th and final life. Well, he attempts to get his 9 lives back. I'm not going to spoil how it ends. I'm just going to tell you it's a really awesome story. You should go ahead and see it. But yeah, on top of that, I'm going to tell you something. If he couldn't handle, he's going to have to watch that one. I didn't, but I chose to see an early screen. I freaking loved it. If he couldn't handle the Disney Super Smash Bros. Universe, though, has to wait until film like 20, around film 20 in phase 2, Splatoon film to come out. He has to wait until film 122 for his Disney NCU, not film 12 like I do, where I get to see Smash Bros. Film 1. And film 12 should probably come out pretty quickly. Let me tell you something. He will not be able to handle the end of Evangelion at all. If not ever. Probably be in the far future when he's able to handle it as a green one. Okay? Probably in the future, like the 2070s, we're talking. So, yeah, I don't know if he should be exposed. But here's the thing, right? I'll be honest here and say, before I go out, and I'm going to go out soon and say, look, don't expose your kids to brain rot, okay? It's about what I said. I can actually handle video games. Wilfred Mullis couldn't. But he can't handle brain rot either. I can actually handle some video games and some anime and some movies. And not all. Not all movies, not all video games, not all, wink, anime. Because judging by the end of Evangelion. And that's going to be blocked, and they're going to show the original manga ending turned into an animated form for that. But here's the thing. Wink. I can handle some. If your kid can handle some video games at the age of 0, they're family friendly, like Super Smash Bros., like the Super Smash Bros. Cinematic Universe, like the Lego Movie, like, I don't know, freaking Minecraft or Fortnite or whatever. Anything. Disney NCU, anything. Even if someone's blocked, let them play that over sticking them in front of an iPad and exposing them to iPad brain rot. I'm sorry, I cannot. And YouTube, here's the thing. That should at least be 13 plus. I don't even go so far as to say 15 plus. Because some of the content that's on YouTube, back when I was in there were no guardrails. There's no 18 plus, there's only 13 plus. There's no guardrails. You had to be 13 and older to get on it, so you had to lie about your age. That shit I saw. Oh man, I saw this guy get stabbed once on live. I saw a dick get shown. Somebody fake leak a Switch 1 at a World Network. I saw what? Crazy amounts of copium and hype. Doom scrolling. TV Filthy Frank. I saw the Angry Video Game Nerd for crying out loud. He cusses like a sailor. I saw so much, man. Smosh, you name it. Don't let your kids see brain rot.